Comrades, we have 3 minutes. Vusi Shongwe of SPLM. Now, come on, for the team Billy. Now, I'm just saying LP. Now, come on, Billy, comrades. The first one is cool for all the support that we have received, not only from South Africa but from across the globe. After this royal, brutal, backward and evil regime killed Comrade Thulan, we really appreciate all the support, we really appreciate the solidarity, the messages of support that you are with the mass democratic movement in Swaziland in this very dark time that befell us as my comrades, more especially as the Masego family. We really appreciate it. It's been long, we've been burying our own, and we think and we know that it is time that we tilt the scales and they also bury theirs. It's not that we want, but it's because that is the obtaining condition, and that is what we've been presented with. We cannot continue to fold our arms and keep quiet as they continue to kill and butcher us in the name of preserving Ishonipo, in the name of preserving the royal regime as a Swati. The second thing that I would like to say, comrades, in the interest of time, is to say we all know Comrade Thulan, what he stood for. He stood for international mobilization. He stood for amplifying the voice of the Swazi struggle across the globe. Comrades, we appeal to all of us across the mass democratic movement, especially in Swaziland, to say wherever we go, whenever we find an opportunity, let us amplify Mzabalas was Swati. Let us tell the world, because there's been a lot of misinformation, there's been a lot of lies, there's been a lot of by this regime. Having said that, comrades, we also call on international bodies, in particular the SADC. In SADC, we know they've just come back from Namibia. We are waiting in anticipation. What is it that they discuss, and what are the steps that they are going to take before Swaziland degenerates and snowballs into a fully fledged civil war? Comrades, history has told us and has taught us that if something is not arrested in its infancy, it grows and it results in a catastrophe. We saw what happened in Rwanda, the Rwandan genocide. The world stood aback and it looked. They didn't take action when it was supposed to be taken until almost 1 million Rwandese were killed. We don't want to see a similar happening just next door in Swaziland. So that's why we call on the international community, both in Africa and across the world, to say let them take the issue of Swaziland seriously so that we avert a catastrophe in that beautiful country of ours. Lastly, comrades, I would like to say that we all know what Comrade Thulan stood for. Comrade Thulan stood for peaceful negotiation in terms of arriving at the desired results that we all wanted. Having said that, he also stood and he was unwavering in terms of saying, let us make sure that we collapse the Tinkula regime in its entirety. We know, comrades, we know that sometimes when you talk about these things, we become unpopular. But let us speak the truth, comrades, and say, let us hold hands. Everyone is preaching the issue of unity. Unity amongst the mass democratic movement in Swaziland, across all the political parties, Ekaya Swatini. It is very possible, comrades. It is very possible. However, it has to be a unity that is principled. It has to be a unity that is going to drive us to the desired goal. And the desired goal is to collapse Tingula and just to get rid of the Tingula system of government. So, comrades, it is therefore in that manner, in that spirit, that we say, let us stand in one voice. We did it in the past. We marched in our tens of thousands. We went to the American embassy. At some point in time, what we wanted to call Aspire. We stood in one body as the mass democratic movement in Swaziland. Sathi angeke siye esibayeni because besathi ukuthi mapositive ufuna kuyosikhulumisa idodi esibayeni. As a result of that, was postponed Aspire indefinitely. Even now, comrades, we call on all of us to say, let us not go to the elections Kamswat, because we've seen to say when we do that, he then goes out to the world and say everything is fine. But if we can all stand in one voice and say we are all standing and saying we're not going to participate in this thing, and we are saying we want elections, but we want elections that are going to be conducted in a multi-party democratic dispensation where all people are going to participate coming from their different respective organizations. That is what we are calling for, comrades. It is therefore we are saying pansi elections amapositive pansi. That is what we can say, comrades. If we can do that, the issue of unity is something that we can do, and it's something that is going to be very possible. Amanda.